I was obsessed with Twilight.
I loved Twilight.
I love Twilight.
I loved Twilight when I was in high school. I love Twilight.
I'll seek you out, flay you
My name
out.
is Annie Claire Lowen. I'm 23 years old, and I was 14 or 15 when Twilight came out.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I'm 24 years old, and I was probably about 15 when the Twilight movies came out.
My name is Hillary Anderson. I'm 24 years old, and I was a junior in high school, so 16.
My name is Chelsea. I am 24. I was a sophomore in high school, so I was 16 when the movies came out.
My name is Montana, and I was 14. I was a freshman in high school.
So this girl, Bella, who's really socially awkward and shy, has to move to a new school and move in with her dad, and she really doesn't want to, and she's all upset about it. And then she gets to school, and she kind of has a hard time making friends, but she meets this super talkative girl, and they become friends. And then she hears about the Cullens, who are like the really weird, like mysterious kids at the school, and then she sees them for the first time, and it's like this whole huge thing. And then she becomes friends with Edward, and then they fall in love, and then he's all mysterious, and he's like a bad boy, and then she finds out that he's like a vampire, and she continues to fall in love with him, but then she has her friend Jacob, who turns out to be a werewolf. And then when Edward leaves for a long time because he just can't handle how in love with her he is, and like tries to go die or something, she becomes really close with Jacob, and she just like kind of fills the void of Edward being gone with Jacob, and then Jacob kind of realizes that and gets kind of upset about it, and then she gets all upset at him when her and Edward get reunited, and then they get married, and then she ends up becoming a vampire because she has a baby and needs to be a vampire.
I think I read the first book 3 times. And then when I found out movies were coming out, it was like the best thing in the whole world. And I watched them over and over. I probably saw them in theaters more than once. And same with the books. Every book that came out, every book that I saw was just more excitement.
And every time the books came out, I would read them right away. And I was in line, ready to buy them. And the movies too, I was in line at midnight with my sisters with all of our Twilight attire, ready to see the movies.
Growing up, I actually was a huge fan of the books before.
It's kind of a weird relationship, especially like at the beginning. Like they were friends at first, and like he obviously was totally like infatuated with her, and she was totally infatuated with him. It's more of like, it seems for a lot of it, it's more of like an obsession than it is love.
Red flag of abusive relationships, and so no, I don't think their relationship was healthy, and I don't think it was a good
It's
one.
just a very weird relationship, probably partially because he's a vampire.
The franchise is kind of just about their whole relationship and their love and the struggles that they go through, and it's kind of, you know, good versus evil and kind of throughout all the movies.
Especially the target audience that it was for teenage girls or young women, and so I think it really just like spoke to kind of the fantasy about falling in love. And then
I think that it speaks to like a mystical side of your like inner girl being.
Girls were shy. They're really insecure, and they don't really know how to really make new friends and to find the boy that they want to start dating and kind of fit in socially. So I think her as a woman kind of really connected to a lot of females around that age.
I think at that age, we're all feeling a sense of different emotions that can kind of speak to, where you're so naive and vulnerable and you just dream of a man and it's like a little fairy tale. And I think that they depict that at that
I
age.
think it just kind of made it irresistible at the time.
I think a lot of it had to do with Robert Pattinson and Taylor Lautner. They were beautiful, or they still are beautiful men, but I think that had a lot to do with it. And also too, you know, you had like the hero and the damsel in distress.
She's definitely insecure, especially in the very, very first movie. She's very insecure and unsure of herself, and it kind of makes it seem as though a lot of girls of that age are more unsure of themselves and insecure about love or like meeting new people or going to new places. Like she is just, as a woman, she's just very insecure and kind of needy.
I think it definitely made for a more interesting story to have her as a damsel in distress in the beginning, because no one wants a strong female lead in the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's her main role, is to be like the broken, confused woman that needs the strength of a man to
Showing how much she needs that attention and how much she needs to have somebody who's giving her that love, and showing how devastated she was when Edward like disappeared all through the second movie. When he like leaves, she's just like so depressed and so like torn apart, like you don't think she's ever gonna get better. And
Well, I think she couldn't really find herself. She didn't really know who she was, because here she moved out of her mom and now is readjusting to new life and living with her dad. So,
like the whole aspect of the vampire world and all these things that she was finding out about that kind of like helped her. But I do think the relationship kind of gave her more confidence, more mature and less insecure with herself. And I don't necessarily think that he like did that for her, but I think that like the fact that he was there helped that happen.
I feel like she just didn't really know herself, and if she was kind of portrayed as like the strong character throughout, then I don't think the movies would have gotten very far, because the whole point of it was Edward was the hero and like the protector. So I think there would have been some type of collision if she was portrayed as like this strong, independent woman.
I wish it wasn't so, but I feel like society just kind of, that's how society portrays women. And so in order to first grab your audience, you know, you have to make the character relatable. Not every average woman is going to feel like the hero in every story. And so, and as sad as that is, I think the story kind of first grabbed women's attention and young girls by making her relatable and kind of putting her in this damsel in distress.
I think some girls can relate to being, I don't think anyone sees themselves as a damsel in distress, but I think high school students and young teenagers liked that, because I think a lot of them could relate to that. It's kind of like what we've grown up with, like a lot of Disney movies, a lot of the princesses are damsels in distress, so I think it's just something that it kind of caters to everyone.
Bella was like a really relatable character for us just because she was insecure and she really wanted to be loved and kind of like socially awkward.
It's represented a lot as high school girl would feel, very quiet and immature and kind of awkward.
I felt like I kind of related to her on like a personal level, and also like the desire to be loved and wanted by boys and stuff. When the movies and books first started coming out, I related to her more, just being a socially awkward high school student who wanted a boyfriend or whatever. Like, I think that was relatable, probably for a lot of people who were like 14 years old at that time, and I think that's also why it was such a desirable book, because she's so young and so socially awkward, and she finds love with this super cool, like, badass, mysterious guy.
I think Twilight was such a phenomenon because it really reached out to girls my age, maybe younger, a little older, because especially for me, like I didn't really know what love was yet, and so reading about it and knowing what it could be, the potential of it, and seeing that a girl who was so shy and so timid and didn't really know how to love someone else could find that love was like really encouraging.
The story kind of first grabbed women's attention and young girls by making her relatable and kind of putting her in this damsel in distress and then making her grow, and I think that's why it gained so much popularity in the end too, is because you see this character grow into this hero of her own story and this strong, independent woman, but in the beginning she wasn't like that, so I think it kind of grabbed audiences from the beginning, but I think she had to have been like that in order to grab them in the first.
Female who read it at this time, like anytime they felt that, they could really relate to that and they could grasp onto it and say, I have hope to find the love of my life. There's hope out there.
In the end, it's just a love story.